Hey, it's Jose Galison. You're watching No Way Jose. You can find me on the No Way Jose YouTube channel and all the major audio podcatchers and Odyssey as well. Credit to Justin Campbell at jcamp1521 for the intro. If you need any intros or editing or any podcast needs, essentially, go hit him up. If you're a podcaster, he is a good guy to commission for stuff like that. So definitely go check him out. Today, my guest is Sal the Agorist, Sal Mayweather. We'll be continuing our series. We're continuing our live reading series. Right now, we're on the critique aspect, Rothbard's critique, because at the end of, and if you've been following the series, you know at the end of New Libertarian Manifesto, Konkin sent out a bunch of shit to a lot of the major thought leaders at the time and asked for their critiques of it, and that's what's in the back of New Libertarian Manifesto. And so we have a few, Rothbard being the most notable of them, obviously. So we are currently covering Rothbard's critique, and then there will be a response from Konkin after. So that'll be interesting. Just do a reminder for everyone, if you're a new listener, the way this format works is right now it's the 21st. If you're watching the 21st, you're watching the live stream. It will be only available today. I will put it private unless it whatever, and it will only be available for my patrons for about a week or so until it goes public. So if you're available for the live stream, you don't have to pay money or anything. You just show up for the live stream. If you want to have access to it in the in-between time and some other perks that are available, hit me up and give me some money at patreon.com. So it's No Way Jose 2020. The highest level, the lowest level being $2 just for the minimum, just to get the access. The highest level being 20. There's other levels in between that give you different perks. The 20 is the highest, being sponsors. Basically means I read you off. Right now I have two sponsors. I have CD McRae of the Whiskey and Tea podcast, and I just got a new one called Just Jeremy. I apologize. I haven't had a chance to follow up with you and get like your plugs and stuff because I didn't have any. So if you're watching this, you can send it to me. I'll follow up with you later. But yeah, I had my internet's been out for the past couple of days, so I finally got it fixed. Like I said, I gave you the topic. Just little plugs for me. I just had Buck Angel on. Check that out. I got Jacob Daniel and James coming on the following weeks. I figured it'd be nice to reminisce with some of the old homies. I haven't had them on in a long time. When it comes to Tower Gang, we just had Kokesh on. That was a fun episode, and he's been spurging out doing weird, crazy shit on Twitter. So we brought him on and clowned on him a little bit, and we actually had a pretty good fun time. It was fun. You should definitely check that out. We have Crypt Daddy coming on next week, May 7th. If you're in the Florida area, you absolutely need to go to this. There's a limited amount of tickets. The summer porch tour with Robbie Bernstein is kicking off at TopLobsta's house. It's kind of like roughly in the Orlando area. So that's going to be all of Tower Gang is going to be, or supposed to be. We'll see. Because the biggest ones, me, Cole, and Clint are all kind of nearby, and then we have obviously it's at Top's house. And then we have fucking Toad in Massachusetts, and then we got and then he's not in New Hampshire now, is he? No, he's still in Mass. And then we got fucking Reed, wherever the hell he is, in Ohio or whatever weird ass place. He's supposed to be going to New Hampshire. I don't know. Supposedly they're both flying down. I don't know if they have their tickets yet, but essentially at the very least you will have like 4 out of 6 of the Tower Power guys there, along with Robbie Bernstein. We're having a live podcast, comedy, kind of big vent, drinking, lots of fun. So yeah, definitely go check that out. It's on May 7th. I don't have a link for you for the tickets or anything. Go to Robbie's page or watch Part of the Problem. He's been plugging it too. As always, go check out TopLobsta, TopLobsta.com. Use Jose at checkout for 10% off. All right, let's get into it. Hey, what's up, dude?
What's up? What's going on?
Not much. Like I said, I just got my internet working again, so that was nice. I wasn't on the episode Tower Power Hour with Kokesh yesterday, which kind of worked out because everyone showed up because everyone was really eager to clown on Kokesh. I'm gonna be following.
I can't wait to watch that one. I'm gonna have to see that. I'll have to watch that next.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. It was surprisingly, it wasn't as animistic. I don't know whether animosity, I don't know how that
as much animosity.
Yes, right? But I feel like there's a word of it where you put an ick at the end. I just can't pronounce it right now. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, that wasn't as much why the fuck am I having such a hard time with that word? It wasn't as mean as I thought it would be, or I actually knew it wasn't going to be, but it's not as bad in that sense as a lot of people thought it'd be. It was pretty fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. They got their digs in. We threw them at them. But it was a fun time. I definitely think people check it out. But yeah. Finally got my internet working, so I wasn't able to be there for that.
All you
yeah,
hicks down in Florida, you can't even have real internet.
right? Yeah, me and you were talking a little bit before about how we both have Spectrum or whatever. But yeah. Yeah, anything new with you?
No, just working, grinding, man, and managing the 2 stores and the meme pages and stuff, and working on a new book. So I got my hands full, juggling new projects, things like that all the time. So
I feel like you told me about the new book, but you want to remind me again? I forget. You said you
so
were
it's
doing
it's a history book. It's about
Okay.
the working title is like the history of a bad idea. It's just going to be like a history of government, like how we got from like the original state of nature to like this oppressive dictatorial tyranny, and like basically it's a story of man's attempt to perfect the idea of government.
Mm,
You
cool.
know.
By the way, Pollo Paradis, who's always here for him, I appreciate you showing up. He said antagonistic.
Maybe that was the word.
Maybe
Or
that's what I was looking for.
adversarial.
But I was really focused on animosity, but I was trying to make it an ick because I feel like that should work, but I
Yeah,
can't
but
find a way to pronounce
animosity
it.
is a noun, though.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Words have different variations, So like, if
Yeah.
whatever the fuck, I don't know.
We need an
Maybe
English
it's not a
major
word.
in here.
Maybe part of me was thinking antagonistic, but then like I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get into this. I think today we should be able to finish Rothbard's portion, and then probably next episode we'll probably get into the reply from Konkin. Yeah, which will be nice because I don't know why it's like a punch in the soul reading this. So like this part of it, because it's just like Rothbard getting so much wrong. But I think we discussed this last time, and I discussed
I
it
think
somewhere
last time
recently.
we did a good job of
Yeah.
tearing him apart in his critiques, but I think this time it'll be well, we'll see. I don't want to get ahead
Yeah.
of myself. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's going to Coctopus, so there actually might be some agreement there. So maybe this is the end. Maybe this is a
I'm
part
with
where he
Conkin on the
switches.
Coke the Post too. I'm not a fan of the Coke boys.
Yeah. No, I mean definitely. That's kind of I
Party
think
arcs.
yeah. There's definitely something to that's part of why these things kind of fall apart. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be nice to get onto Conkin's response because, like I
Yes,
said,
for
it just.
sure.
But I think we talked last time, and I guess there is something too, because I don't know how big Conkin was at the time when he wrote this book or who he was, but this is really it does kind of almost, if you think about it, certain sense, almost has that vibe of like, here's my mixtape. Can you tell me what you think of it? So it's like to give Rothbard a little bit of a I don't know, to be charitable. There's a good chance he may have just kind of leafed through it, like not really devoured it entirely.
Rothbard was super thorough with all of his shit, and it's funny. It's like on the book, like if you read the little blurb here that Rothbard wrote about the book that Conkin put on here, like one of his things is that maybe he didn't put it here in the back, but like one of the things he says about the book is like, oh well, at least this guy can write. Like at least like the libertarians are so fucked up that we don't even have people who can like write a complete sentence. So if I can't say anything else about Conkin, at least I can say that the man is able to like put his thoughts onto paper. So I think like that might be like, Rothbard was trying to be charitable in that regard, Yeah.
Which, I mean, that is a fair, even if you completely disagree with everything Conkin says, I feel like it's pretty indisputable. He's a good writer. Like,
oh yeah.
At the very least, a concise writer. That's one thing I was marveled at. Me and you both marveled at reading through this again, that like how he was able to just like concisely go over so much shit.
Have you ever listened to, or I don't know if anybody out there watching has listened to John Loth's reading of the New Libertarian Manifesto? It's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you can get it. And he's got like this deep, like booming voice, and like with Conkin's writings and his like narration, it's a really good listen. Definitely worth checking out.
Yeah. Like, I don't remember if it was New Libertarian Manifesto or Agorist Primer, because for those who aren't just watch this now, I've already done a full live reading with Caleb Brown on that. But I do remember in one of them, he like did a complete foreign policy, like almost like basically an entire Scott Horton's book in like a page or two. Like,
right, yeah.
It's like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he like covered all, and like, yeah, obviously there was important information left out, but it was like very, very
thorough.
very thorough, very like all the basic bullet points that you really do need to know. And you're like, oh shit, like, okay. It's pretty impressive. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. As always, stop me whenever you need one or you got something for me. Problem of the Coctopus or Coctopus.
We're on 87, by the way, of this book. If you guys are following along.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's different in the other book. I think I've said this multiple times. Don't get this one. Get
Polu, grab an extra beer for me too. By the way, sorry.
You're good. Yeah, don't get this one. The one that's just this one. Get the if anyone's watching can see. I don't know. Get the one that has an Agorist class theory in it as well, because that's like the only way you can get it. Although I think you might be able to buy an Agorist class theory separate. No, actually, I don't think you can. But point being, you're going to read this stuff and be like, oh, cool, there's another work in Agorist class theory, and then you have to buy a new Libertarian Manifesto twice, because there's 2 different versions, and only one of the versions has an Agorist class theory.
Right.
Wait, did I say that right? Yes, I did. Or
yeah.
I always say an Agorist class theory, because an Agorist primer... No, it's Agorist class theory, not the AMP.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, yeah. No article.
Yeah. Yeah, the article in the other one throws me off. All right. Konkin has also railed against the beneficence, God, what a weird word, of Charles Koch, not only for being pro-LP, but also because he has tended to acquire a monopoly of the movement. Still abstracting from the LP, let us begin by each one of us putting ourselves in Koch's place. You say are a multimillionaire and you get converted to libertarianism. You're all excited about it and you want to do something to advance the cause. Things being what they are, the main thing you contribute is your money. What should you do? The trouble with asking us to make this act of imagination is that most of us can't conceive of ourselves as multimillionaires, and too many of us have absorbed the primitive populist view of millionaires as evil Fu Manchu characters bent on exploitation. But let's take the case of our multimillionaire convert. Would Konkin really say that he should do nothing because this might create a monopoly of the movement?
No.
I'm going to go ahead and stop there, because this is already the
straw man.
It's a straw man a little bit, and it's also the, whether intentional or not, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he was being dishonest, but this is a common thing. Even really good libertarians will say, they'll accuse Agorist of like, what do you want us to just do nothing? Like, I'm not saying do nothing. I'm just saying don't do this one thing. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Like if you like, I know someone stabs someone, you're like, stop stabbing them. And I mean, obviously it's different because we're talking about aggression and something that may or may not be aggression depending on how you define it. But anyways, like someone stabbing someone,
holds.
Yeah, and you're like, hey, stop stabbing. And you're like, what do you want me to do? Nothing? And you're like,
yeah, right. Right, exactly. That's exactly it.
Don't do that thing.
And it's like of coming from a master logician like Rothbard, it's so disappointing.
Yeah.
Because like this is the guy.
Yeah. To be fair, I get
the guy who does like praxeology and shit like that. It's like you would think like out of all people, he would be the one with like the most basic common understanding of like just basic logic.
Yeah. And to be fair to him, I can kind of, to steel man him or to kind of give the benefit of the doubt, maybe he's just kind of shorthand. What he's kind of getting at, and we're about to read more, is I can understand the argument that maybe for a millionaire, it's easier for them to have this one thing, the go-to, oh, LP, I'm a libertarian. We'll do the Libertarian Party. I'll give them money. Like, I could see how, and there's definitely something to that. If you're a rich person, you don't want to put a lot of work into it, and you're like, what can I do to advance liberty? Oh, I'm a Libertarian Party. That's like the go-to thing that everyone, the dots that could connect. And I'm like, yeah, okay, maybe it might be take you a little bit more brain work to figure out where to put your money, time, and effort.
By the way,
same thing goes for normal people as well. They're like, well, what do you want me to do? I don't know. The possibilities are endless. I don't know what to tell you.
Right, exactly. You know what else I was thinking too? It's like just when you were talking, it's like we have the benefit of looking in hindsight now, right? Mm-hmm. So this book was written in like the 80s or whatever. So it's like, who was right? The jury's out now. We can see what effect the Coctopus has had on the movement. Look at what they've done to the Cato Institute, and it's ironic because Rothbard's competing institute, the Mises Institute, is now completely opposed to Cato, right? So now like the Rothbardians have sort of come along, on Konkin's point regarding the Coctopus, right? Like the problems we see with like what are like these like these left progressives in the Libertarian Party who am I talking about here? Like the Fakertarians.
Yeah.
I don't follow all the drama that much.
Loser Brigade, whatever.
Right. All those different names for these people and shit like that. You get
Reed
it.
calls them the bitch fuck cucks.
Right. Okay. Okay. So we'll go with the bitch fuck cucks. They are the product. The bitch fuck cucks come from the Coctopus. They're a direct descendant of the Coctopus and Cato and all that bullshit. And that's exactly the warning that Konkin is throwing out here.
Yeah. Do we not want to convert multimillionaires? Do we not think that money is important in advancing the movement? This is the same shit people still do today. You're like, I mean, obviously you can swap out the thing. It's like, no one's saying that.
but honestly, it's like, it's the exact opposite. We're saying that money is important to the movement because like you can't allocate resources through the political means. You can only allocate resources through the economic means. So if you want a group of ideologues, let's say Agorists in this example, to like acquire more and more money and more resources, you would encourage them to engage in entrepreneurship, right? Which is what we're doing. You wouldn't encourage them to go knocking door to door and canvassing neighborhoods and working phone banks. That doesn't make any sense. So it's like they're the ones who are rejecting money in the movement. We're the ones who are embracing it. So I mean, it just makes no sense. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I mean obviously Rothbard's already going down this road, but it's kind of like, okay, like I get it. There is something easy. It's an easy answer. Just go immediately LP. But there are a million things. I could probably come off the top of my head, like probably 10 things that I could probably say if I had a limited amount of money that I could just put money into that was not political party related whatsoever.
Oh my God.
That would advance liberty in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And it's like, if anything, this is almost like you're saying, should I dump a shitload of money in this one thing or a little bit less money in multiple things that, like.
What would have been a better investment, like in putting your money into Bitcoin or giving it to like the Bill Barr campaign in 2008 or something like that? Like, hello, like wake the fuck up, people. Like, would it have been better for me to invest my money in starting a website like 3D Printer Go Bird to start like a business, or should I have given my money instead to Gary Well to fight gun control? Like, what's more effective here? It's just like the answer is so obvious to me. I don't even know where these ANCAPs are coming from sometimes.
Yeah. So it is surely grotesque to send a multi-millionaire packing. Obviously, we should welcome his contributions to the cause and hope for as much as possible. Okay, which I mean we do.
But see what Rothbard is talking about is he wants as many contributions into the party arc's pockets. That's the problem with the LP is that. And again, Rothbard I learned this from reading Rothbard in other places, but he's essentially pointed out that like these parties form a bureaucracy, which eventually they end up taking in just enough money to keep themselves going. And everybody's going to get mad here, but look at Michael Heiss, right? Quit his job, man. Quit his job, living off those $25 donations. It's like, what are you guys doing? You're keeping these party arcs living off your teat rather than engaging in counter economics. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. By the way, I met Heiss in person. He's actually a really nice guy.
I'm sure he's a nice dude.
I mean, I can totally get where he's coming from if you buy into it.
I'm sure he's a great dude, and I don't think that like any of these party people, I don't think that they are like bad people. Yeah. I don't think they're out like, oh, I'm going to scam these party members out of their money. But I think that's what ends up happening. If you like, it's like the same thing we say about laws shouldn't be judged by their intent; they should be judged by their outcome. It's the same thing with all other behavior, including political behavior.
Well, it's kind of like, and maybe I might get a little trouble for this. I know Vin Armani or Cyprian or whatever a while back, and I will fully admit he did go a little too far in some things he was saying. But a lot of things one of the things people grabbed onto is at one point he said something about essentially a lot of these like party people being predators, and a lot of people jumped on that. Like, and to be fair, there's a point because it kind of implies intentionality. But I think if you really if you steel man what he's saying, in some sense, he was saying, in effect, you're becoming a predator because, and obviously this is accepting the agoristic worldview of being like, you're kind of wasting your time, whatever. Like it is essentially, I guess, sort of predatory in a sense of your time, money, what have you. So I will say though, once again, I will totally say he did go too far in other senses because I remember Matt Erickson, I think, did try to pull him back a little bit. And he did then go further and be like, I don't remember the exact details, but he did really go into character attack. But the point about that, there was something to that. And a lot of people jumped in that one specific point. And I'm like, you really can't understand that, like, say, for example, you could make the point with your ideological opponents. You could say the same exact thing. Even if you do believe they're true believers, they're still wasting their time, whatever, in effect or whatever, you know?
Right. Yeah, I don't know the whole incident, but I mean, by and large, I sort of agree. I think that, like, these, especially the people at the top, the ones who live off of your donations, those are the ones you got to watch out for.
Yeah, but once again, to be very clear, I don't know if any of these guys, I would say, intentionally are trying to screw over people. I think most of these guys are true believers.
Think that, right. No, for sure. They think that what they're doing is good and righteous and stuff. But at the end of the day, they're doing nothing. They're treading water. They're taking in your donations. They're paying their rent, and they're just, doing like a little 9 to 5. Maybe they're working like a few hours on, like, trying to like promote somebody's candidacy or some other bullshit operation that does absolutely nothing. You're better off taking that money, investing it in a side hustle, become an entrepreneur, start a business, buy cryptocurrency, become your own bank, get a 3D printer, grow your own food, buy a plot of land, homestead, raise chickens, do something, engage in the counter economy in some way possible. It's a much better way to spend your money than politically. It'll get you much, much further, and it'll also get the movement much, much further.
Yeah, a lot of people always think of the big dogs and like, oh, look how many people they reach, and there is something to that. I mean, those people do reach a lot of people, and there is definitely something to being involved in politics extends that reach in some extent. But a lot of people don't think about all the people at the bottom. Like, what are these people at the bottom? The guys knocking on doors, the large amount of people, and what are they like? What are, they're knocking on doors, they're making phone calls, they're like they're spending their money, they're doing like what are they like? Wouldn't it make more sense? Wouldn't it be better if we had a group of people bettering themselves? You know what I mean? Like,
if everybody like did that, and if everybody bettered themselves in the world, we would already be where we're at. Yeah. Instead of like the alternative strategies to convince everybody to be Rothbardians, like, are you crazy? It's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
And to correct it, you said everybody, and I know I just want to point out, because everyone will immediately latch onto that, and they'll straw man it and be like, oh, well, not everybody's going to do what you say. I'm like, okay, but the more people, the better, motherfucker.
Right, like, exactly. Right.
So, like, no one's, like, I hate that critique. Even of others, because people will do that with other things. They'll do, like, post-libertarians or even ANCAPs, and you're like,
right.
It's the biggest straw man, and the funny thing is that each one of these groups will do it to each other. And you're like, well, not everyone's going to do that. And you're like, what? Like, right. No one's saying in order for this to work that everyone has to do it. Like, I don't think any of these different groups, I don't think I've actually met in a legitimate any sort of movement that's like everyone has to fucking do this. And you're like, what?
For sure.
We just need enough.
Yeah.
Or more, not even necessarily enough, just more people. So, all right. Obviously, we should welcome his contributions to the cause and hope for as much as possible. Okay, so you're a multimillionaire convert to libertarianism. To whom or what should you give your money? Now, this is a considerable responsibility, and since no one can be omniscient, our multimillionaire is bound to make mistakes along the way. But all we can ask of him ourselves is to do the best he can according to his knowledge. Okay, to be fair, I guess we did go on him a little bit, and he kind of backed it up a little bit there, in some sense, or framed it a little bit differently. The multimillionaire therefore deserves our approbation, our welcome to the cause. Instead, what he inevitably gets, okay, I want to say right there, I do agree with that. You should be welcoming, but it should, I guess maybe he's sort of characterizing that we're being crass when we're saying don't do that. If anything, really, I'm actually very much a proponent of, learning how to interact with individuals, and you should maybe, if you are on a personal basis with this individual, be like, hey, well, maybe don't invest there, maybe invest here, maybe do this. Like, yeah, try to politely steer him,
But like what Rothbard is doing here is akin to he's essentially virtue signaling to other libertarians. He's saying, hey, the multimillionaire deserves our welcome to the cause. It's like, of course, no shit. Every libertarian believes that. Nobody's saying otherwise. It's like he's almost sort of like virtue signaling to the liberty community to draw them in on his side. Again, it's a straw man. We never said that they shouldn't be. We're saying the opposite. We're the ones saying that libertarians should be rich and rich entrepreneurs. Read Konkin's Counter Economics Back Alley to the Stars. Check out the last section in Anti-Politics, where I go through all of the successful entrepreneurs in counter-economic history who made tons of money like doing this shit. So it's like, we're not against making money. We're the ones who are for multimillionaires. We're the ones welcoming them to the cause.
Yeah. Instead, what he inevitably gets, human nature being what it is, will be complaints and attacks without cease. For if A, B, and C, people or institutions, receive his large S, this inevitably leaves D, E, and F out in the cold. And whether through envy and or righteous indignation at the wrong path taken, D, E, and F will no doubt yell bloody murder. To us poor folk, it might seem absurd to say that the life of a multimillionaire is hard and thankless, but it seems clear this is an important point for us to remember. But there is more to be said. The critics of the multimillionaire might say, okay, it's great that he's giving all that money to the cause, but why does he have to control everything? But here again, you are the multimillionaire and you want to do the best you can for liberty with the money you give out. Wouldn't you want to have control over how your own money is spent? Hell yes. You'd have to be an idiot not to, and also not care too much either about money or the libertarian cause. There are few multimillionaires who are idiots.
So,
you have something to say?
so like, notice how, and this is just like Rothbard is going against his own teachings. It just doesn't make any sense. Notice how he's saying how the Koch brothers are right to act in their own interest and pursue their own interests. Whereas in the market, what we're talking about in entrepreneurship, in the voluntary exchange, you have to provide value for other people, right? It's the exact opposite. So it's like in the market, if you don't provide value for somebody else, you're done. What Rothbard is saying is that the Koch brothers have to provide value for themselves and themselves alone. And that is he's really getting to the heart. He doesn't realize it, but he's cutting to the heart of the difference between anarcho-capitalism and agorism, which is essentially that.
I would say to that aspect aside, I don't necessarily disagree with the idea that if a rich person or whatever does, give a huge and overwhelming amount of money and wants some sort of control of an organization, or is it some sort of large investor or whatever, what given thing, that it would be wrong necessarily for them in return to ask for some sort of control, or whatever. Obviously it would then be on the other party to agree or disagree. But the problem is, I don't think, maybe Konkin is disagreeing with that, but I don't think Konkin would disagree with that either. He would probably say, like, yeah, that's not what I'm getting at. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with him wanting to have control.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is the thing that he's controlling, and he is in the very nature of this beast.
Exactly.
And
we're not talking about a charity. Like, this isn't like a donation to like some charity where you're going to donate like $10 million to a little charity. So of course you're going to pick the director and you're going to, pick out the furniture and stuff. You're paying for it. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a political organization here that is centered on coercion and the initiation of force on otherwise peaceful people.
But how about the Kochian monopoly? Here, Mr. Konkin should have fallen back on his Austrian economics. Should that only one firm is producing, or suppose that only one firm is producing aluminum, or as the British say, aluminium, should we start yelling at it for being a monopoly, or should we hope for more firms to enter the industry? Should we start yelling at it for being a monopoly? You have anything for that? I don't know, because I feel like there's something there. I'm just trying to think of a thought.
No, I think he's just setting up the argument still.
Yeah, okay. Clearly the latter, unless the monopolist is using the state to keep other competitors out. Maybe I'm not controlling this correctly, but to some extent, I guess you could make an argument when it comes to political parties that is the case. But okay. Anyways, which of course Mr. Koch is not doing. Quite the contrary. Koch would be delighted to find other multimillionaires converted to liberty and giving money to the movement, as would we all. So the answer to the problem of the Koch monopoly is to find a dozen more multimillionaire libertarians. It is grossly unfair and fallacious to put the blame on the monopolist for his situation. Okay.
So he's essentially saying that, like, well,
Yeah.
hey, just because the Koch brothers are donating all this money to the LP, like, you know, the solution is to find other rich people to donate money to the LP, not to tell them to divest themselves from the party. Again, it's like very hypocritical here. Like, you know, he's applying economic concepts like monopoly to political institutions, which doesn't translate over very well.
No, yeah.
But you know, in a sense, he's not wrong, and I agree that if the Koch brothers are going to donate all the money to the LP, of course they want to control the LP. This is the nature of a political party, and what Konkin does, or what Rothbard doesn't understand, is that is the objection.
Yeah,
right. It's not that the Koch brothers are misusing their monopoly or something like that, or if they have attained a malevolent monopoly. It's the fact that you can have a monopoly in something like this. You can't have that in the market, and Rothbard knows that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that last sentence is grossly unfair and fallacious to put blame on a monopolist for the situation. I actually agree with that. Like you kind of implied there a little bit. I think maybe, to be fair to Rothbard, maybe I feel like he's kind of missing the point, but that I can kind of understand maybe where he's missing the point, because Konkin did go hard as fuck on Koch, but I think there's something to, because he did shit on Koch a lot, but I think if you were to ask Konkin, the issue isn't necessarily the character of the individual controlling it or whatever. It's the aspect of what he's controlling and so on, and just the nature of how this works.
Precisely.
But yeah, so. But yeah, like, he did kind of shit on him hard, so I get that. It just so happens Koch was also a cocksucker too. So
right, exactly. But like the thing is though, like remember though, like historically speaking, at the time, I think it was David Koch or Charles Koch, one of them were running for like president or vice president as the LP nominee. They'd essentially purchased their way to the top ticket, and that's what, and like, so you have to understand the context. For Rothbard as the Agorist at the time, he has to toe the anti-party line. Here you have a man who's bought the entire party. He's bought the nomination. He's bought the delegates. He's paid for everything. So what? Of course, Rothbard is going to say, "Hello, guys. What are you doing? You're turning into the very thing that you're supposed to stop, which is this like corporate monopolistic like crony takeover. You've become that very thing." And that's like the central point to the Agorist complaint about political participation. So of course, like, he's right to go after them. 100% right.
All right. I submit that Konkin has been egregiously unfair to Charles Koch. Koch, whatever. The only
Charles Koch.
I never know it's Koch or Koch. It's Koch,
it's
right?
It's Koch, but it's probably supposed to be Koch. They just want everybody to call it Koch or some shit, so they don't get in trouble. They don't sound like idiots.
Yeah.
They're dead now, I think.
I'm just gonna start calling him Koch. I think one of them might still be alive. I don't know.
Okay.
The only legitimate criticism of Koch is not the existence of the Coctopus. See, Coctopus sounds better than Coctopus too, right? Doesn't it? I don't know. Coctopus sounds weird to me.
I prefer to call them the Koch brothers, honestly.
but I mean, that's where it throws me off. I know Koch, but then Coctopus gets in my mind. And
they pronounce it Koch.
But Coctopus sounds wonky to me. Coctopus sounds correct. I don't know, whatever. But if it said, maybe Konkin was pronouncing it cock. Like I could see that.
Me too.
Yeah. But if the said Coctopus takes a wrong or misguided track, within Konkin's anti-party perspective, for example, it's perfectly legitimate for him to criticize Koch's tie-in with the Libertarian Party, but not the existence of Koch's largesse per se. In many of Konkin's writings, however, one has the impression that simply the receipt of a grant or the taking of a job with Koch is evil per se, or indeed the taking of any steady job whatsoever, pays Konkin on wage work. But while there is nothing at all immoral or illegitimate about the existence of a Kochian monopoly in the movement, it does pose grave sociological problems. For if one man or organization constitutes or controls the entire movement, then any mistake of ideology, strategy, or tactics he or it may make will have grave consequences for the entire movement. All right, cool. I mean, this is the kind of finishing part of this. He's kind of getting it together a little bit here, because it's like, I mean,
that's what we've been saying.
Yeah, which is like, okay, yeah, all right, I guess I'll go on a little rant. I just kind of thought, like, all right, the issue isn't necessarily. I feel like that the aspect of the Coctopus kind of only further illuminates the issue of a political party. Like, now, because he kind of pointed out the idea that if we had a bunch more millionaires, it would be different. You wouldn't be able to point out the monopolistic aspect. But I mean, this is a whole centralized, decentralized thing. Like, here is this political movement, this political party, and it's very centralized in how it interacts, in how it how am I trying to say, how it operates. And that's kind of how political parties work. Over time, they centralize power. This is how political parties and political institutions in general work. They centralize power. But the aspect of one large benefactor being the kind of controlling thing in it, just all it does is further illuminates this problem. If you had multiple more millionaires, you'd still have this issue. It just wouldn't be as apparent. So, I think that,
or it would be an even bigger problem, because you would just have like multiples of these.
Yeah, and then it's also, like I say, it illuminates it, and having multiple, it kind of may actually, like you said, make the problem worse but less apparent, because these now, instead of one person acting on it's kind of the difference, with Hoppe, the difference between like a monarchy and a democracy. It's like one person or a multitude or whatever. Obviously not a perfect one for one, but to kind of illustrate a point. Instead of one person that has like all the responsibility to some extent, that, has more of the reins of power, now you have multiple people that even still are probably going to kind of operate as a unit to some extent. Like, yeah, there may be some dissenters, but, so whatever. But yeah, I think you get the idea of what I was saying. If a small organization makes a mistake, however, the consequences are not so catastrophic. Here is a real problem, which is impossible to see how to cure, short of finding a dozen more people like Koch. For the entire movement. Okay, I feel like he did a little bit of bait and switch there, because he goes, "Oh, we'll have grave consequences for the entire movement," and then he swaps over to a small organization. Like, this is kind of the problem. Like, he's kind of making it out that, like, oh, well, the issue is the size. And I guess that is kind of, to some extent, sort of true. But it's the aspect of that's a political. All right, no, I lost my point. But I don't know if you have anything to add there.
No,
I had a point that I lost it.
No, I think he's just, again, he's like sort of just he's saying exactly what we were talking about before. Like, his solution is to have more Koch brothers. It's like it's just, and like, again, like we'll see in a second how he, like, it doesn't really make any sense what he's saying here.
Yeah, here is a real problem, which it is impossible to see how to cure, short of finding a dozen more people like Koch. Surely Konkin's putative solution of Koch disappearing from the libertarian scene is a remedy far worse disease. That's way funnier saying it is Koch. The only thing I can think of is trying to persuade Koch to set up competing institutions in the movement, such as corporations often set up competing profit centers within their own organization. To some extent, this is already being done, as in the case of such an estimable institution as the Council for a Competitive Economy.
So we can see, we know from history that the Council for a Competitive Economy didn't do shit for the Libertarian Party. There was no such thing as like intra-organizational competition. That never happens, because it isn't a friggin' for-profit business. Like, what's Rothbard talking about? He knows this shit. He knows it. I know that he knows it because I learned it from him. So what is he talking about here? It doesn't even make any sense what he's trying to say. How could a political party have a profit motive? It doesn't make any sense. How could the intra-organizational parts of a political party have a profit motive? Like, what is he talking about? It's like the only way that they can have any sort of profit is through like coercion. It just doesn't make any sense what he's talking about. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess I'm assuming by the way that Rothbard's writing, this is the point he was LP affiliated, so that would make.
Oh yeah, Rothbard was affiliated up until like the early '90s when Hoppe like sort of pulled him away.
Yeah, which I mean, I guess that may be to some extent what's going on here. There's a little bit of a confirmation bias to some extent. So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not saying
I've
he's being
always,
dishonest, but you know, like that's
I've always wondered, you know, like it's sort of odd to me that he wasn't able to accept this, but he was able to accept like Hobbes, when Hoppe had a new theory, like argumentation ethics, Rothbard was like, yeah, 2 thumbs up, it's great. But when Konkin has a new theory, he's like, oh no, it doesn't make any sense. But really, Konkin's contribution was much greater than argumentation ethics.
I mean, I'm not necessarily going to agree or disagree with that. I'd have to think on that one. I also, honestly, even now, I still struggle with grasping argumentation ethics. So maybe that actually kind of lends to your point. So,
well, hey, look, I'm not going to say. I think argumentation ethics is absolutely brilliant. I mean, it's friggin', it's you know, it's absolutely genius. The whole argument, but it's essentially proving something that was already proven. We already knew natural law was valid and just by the way Rothbard would justify it. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, it's almost like sort of redundant.
And not to go down a rabbit hole, but I actually have to disagree with you there. I think Hoppe actually did a good job at kind of sealing the cracks or the spots that didn't quite connect. He kind of brought it full circle, if you will.
He did. I don't disagree with that. But my point is, though, it's like he didn't provide any new information. Really, he provided a new proof of an old theory, whereas Konkin completely revolutionized the science. He did like an Albert Einstein to your Newton. You know what I mean? Like he wasn't just another one like in like a line of thinkers. He was like a revolutionary thinker.
Yeah, I guess I would say in a sense maybe I guess it's kind of comparing apples and oranges because their contributions were different. They had different contributions, but yeah, I get your point. Not to go down the rabbit hole. I'm just saying. I guess Hoppe had more of like a philosophical contribution, and whereas I think Konkin probably more of a praxeological or you know contribution. But all right, let's move on to the problem of the Libertarian Party. Let's see if we can knock out this. Much of the Konkinian critique of the LP has been conflated with attacks on an organization and on monopoly per se. And I think I have shown that all these criticisms are either fallacious or miss the point. The main point being that these institutions are voluntary and are worth the problems they inevitably bring, at least to those who participate in them. None of these institutions are unlibertarian, and the difficulties they bring in their wake are the problems of life. I would say real quick, something being voluntary does not necessarily mean it's beneficial. Something being whether or not it's unlibertarian does not mean it's beneficial. And yeah, that's all I have to say. So like, I mean, obviously you can disagree. I know you may probably quibble about whether it's unlibertarian or not. I would say, I mean, like, I don't really even care to argue it because it's kind of beside the point.
Right.
You know, like,
yeah, no, I agree with you. It doesn't, whether it is or isn't. I mean, I don't think it is, but whether it is or isn't going to get us anywhere.
Yeah, like who gives a fuck? Like, cool.
Right. Yeah, right.
Like,
exactly.
Like shitting in this pot is libertarian. Cool.
Right. You're right.
It's perfectly voluntary. You're like, okay, cool, bud. Good for you. We turn to Konkin's Bete Noir. I don't even know if I can say that. The Libertarian Party. There are two important questions to be resolved about LP. Is it evil per se? And assuming it isn't, is it illegitimate? Is it a legitimate or even necessary strategy for libertarians to adopt?
No.
When I kind of alluded to that before with number one, I normally just don't even bother going into that because it's like I feel like that's like goes down a weird spiraling quagmire, and it kind of is like, okay. And I'm also, we've talked before, I'm more of the egoist perspective, so it's like if you're like it's immoral, I'm kind of like, okay. Morals are very subjective for me. So.
See, the thing is, though, the way I've always preferred the moral argument. So in politics, there's always two arguments. There's a moral argument, there's a pragmatic argument. For me, the moral argument is, you always start with the moral argument because it's stronger. So if you can prove that something is immoral, that it's wrong to do it per se, then whether it's pragmatic or not, that whole conversation can just be put aside. No one has the right to do something that's wrong, which is why I always start there. And you know, my one-liner here is that no one has the right to impose a master on the unwilling, and that's exactly what it's a whole point of the Libertarian Party.
Yeah, I had something to say, but I forgot. All right, we'll move on. I'm going to assume for the moment that a libertarian political party, or for that matter, other forms of political action, such as lobbying, are not evil per se.
Which is bribery, lobbying, but yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily think, bro. Lobbying is actually where I'm like, me personally, I will say when it comes to lobbying, I don't necessarily have an issue with it. Whether or not it's an agorist thing, okay, if that makes me not an agorist, I guess I'm not an agorist. But it is kind of like, yeah, it's bribery. It would be kind of like bribing a cop to me. Like I don't necessarily have an issue with that. I guess.
Well, paying a politician off under the table,
yeah,
is one thing, but paying them for political favor is different. Like lobbyists are paying them to initiate coercion so that they gain some sort of benefit. Like when GM lobbies to, put a tariff on Toyota or some shit like that, there's nothing libertarian or agorist about that. But if you're paying off, the local, mayor so that you can get your gun permits or some shit like that, then yeah, absolutely have at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but,
so it's like.
But my point being is, I would be saying that if you're paying them to take off the tariff in a lobbying type sense, right? Now if you're utilizing lobbying to attack your enemies or ideological or political enemies, yeah, it's a way different thing. You're like, okay, that's, But now if you're using it to like pull back things, I mean, whatever. I mean, you're just paying.
There's no money in pulling back, though. There's no lobbyist for reducing government because there's no money in it.
But now if a Charles Koch came along and was like, hey, I want to use all this money, like, hey, why don't you pay off these motherfuckers to lower taxes or whatever?
Now you start to sound like Andrew from Popular Liberty.
I agree with him there. So on that,
I know, and I've often said that if I wasn't an agorist, I would probably be trying that out because that's as close as you can get to sort of underhandedly paying off these bastards.
I mean, I would say though, to bring it back to like an agorist type thing. I mean, for one, there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of pre-existing things you already have to have in place for that to even be a tenable strategy. So it's like I said, like I even said, this would apply to the Koch brothers, like that we just brought up.
Right.
Like, that's why I use them as an example. Like, okay, sure, like. Because I know, I guess maybe I might be getting a little bit wrong, but I think what kind of like the Popular Liberty, post-libertarian guys are kind of getting at is like grouping up and kind of like as a group kind of doing some shit like that. And I'm like, okay, but at that point it's kind of like, well, I mean, sure, maybe, but I feel like there might be better uses of your time. Like, okay,
real quick, and I don't want to change the subject, but real quick, just to the way I've seen it is we know that they're very susceptible to being bribed. They love being bribed. We know that because Goldman Sachs does it all the time.
Yep.
Boeing, Honeywell, Raytheon, they bribe these politicians all the time. So, hey, maybe Andrew's right. Maybe they will accept bribes in favor of reducing the toll on the highway or some shit. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm just not going to pay the toll. You know?
Which, I mean, yeah, cool. If you guys want to group up and do that, cool. I mean, I would just at that point be kind of like, it just seems like a whole lot of hullabaloo over like,
right.
Like, okay, I mean, sure, it's more. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe right. Cool. If that's what we want to do, I guess I'd prefer that than like going to go do the LP or whatever.
Right. Exactly.
But if that is true, then all of Konkin's running arguments about the LP's hierarchical nature, its power struggles, faction fighting, etc., are no more than problems inherent in all organizations whatsoever. And this we have already disposed of. I don't know. Konkin may actually agree with that, but it's like the point is but we're talking about a political institution.
Exactly. So, exactly. Like, okay, and Rothbard knows this shit. I don't know what he's like. What's going on? He knows this shit.
Like, yes. Okay. Sure. Yes, these are things in organizations. Yes, but the problem is that this is a political organization. Like that's right. That's the distinguishing factor here.
The painting company down the street isn't trying to tax me. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. So economically, yeah, like it kind of you get at there's a profit motive.
I don't care about their hierarchical structure at Benjamin Moore, right? I care about the hierarchical structure of the people who are trying to rob me.
Yes. More important, I see no other conceivable strategy for the achievement of liberty than political action. Okay.
I mean, obviously this has never worked. We've been trying political action for, thousands of years, but this is the only solution you could see, even though there's never actually been a solution.
I got to say, though, even if you do believe in political action as a tenable way to move the needle in any way, shape, or form, that line right there. Okay, I mean, this is the first line of the paragraph, so maybe he's being extra bold here. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he'll back it up a little bit. If you only have that sentence isolated, it's fucking retarded. Like even the most people who are politically political individuals would probably say that, like, yeah, you can achieve liberty other ways. There are other ways to go about this. No, I feel like anyone's saying that only political action or whatever. Like,
so I'm going to disagree, because I firmly, truly, honestly believe that I can honestly say that I see no other conceivable strategy for the achievement of liberty than agorism and counter economics. I don't think that there's any other way to get free that I know of. Maybe there is, but I don't know of any.
Well, I mean, but what I'm speaking of is what Rothbard just said, which is the inverse of what you said. Because I feel like even the most politically motivated individual out there, at least libertarian wise, like maybe not in other spots, would actually be if I just showed them that sentence, or if I just said sentence, they'd probably disagree with me. Be like, what are you talking about? There are plenty of other ways. Like yeah, this is one way to go about it, is what most of them would say.
It's sort of like saying, it's like reading one of those old timey doctors. It's sort of like saying, I see no other way to dispose of cancer than smoking cigarettes. It's like, I see no other way of getting rid of the flu than bleeding the patient. It's like, you're doing nothing but making things worse here, man.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of like giving him the benefit of the doubt. I was even like implying maybe I was even giving the assumption that maybe political action does help in some way, shape, or form. I don't agree with that, but let's say that's the case. To say that there's no other conceivable strategy for the achievement of liberty than political action. Okay. I mean, but once again, this is the first sentence of the paragraph. There may be more to add to it, so I may be being a little bit of a dick. It's just it's fresh in my mind. Religious or philosophical conversion of each man and woman is simply not going to work. That strategy ignores the problem of power. The fact that millions of people have vested interest in statism are not likely to give it up. You know what? That's kind of funny. If I'm taking this sentence in isolation, once again, like the previous one, even Rothbard's actually not on the same page. According to these two sentences, he is not on the same page as the current LPMC, because the argument they're making is messaging. I'm kind of actually a little bit blown away here by these.
Well, I mean, Rothbard,
maybe again, I might see more, but even if you ask like the LPMC or any of the higher ups, Heiss, Dave Smith, anyone, I don't think they would agree with those two sentences.
Yeah, but see, like, Rothbard never thought that the LP could possibly be a vehicle for messaging.
Yeah,
they know that because I've told them that, and they reject it anyway. Like, they just don't really have a response here. Rothbard wrote, go back to the 1972 issue of the Libertarian Forum. I included it, actually, the whole essay, or most of it, is in Anti-Politics, where Rothbard goes through all of this. And he says that third parties cannot be a vehicle for messaging, because whether we like it or not, the average citizen, the average American, still holds the political process near and dear to their hearts. So when some third-party candidate comes along and tries to upset the apple cart, both they and their ideology along with them get written off as kooks. So it's like, you're only doing a disservice to yourself. And like, this is why third parties don't ever have any success with messaging. I also think, on top of what Rothbard's critique, I think he's right. But on top of that, I also think that it's rigged. I think that they don't want third parties. Like, the game is rigged. Look at what happens when Gary Johnson meets the requirement to be in the debates. They just raise the threshold higher so that he can't do messaging, right? It's like sitting down to play a game of cards and betting all your money when you know that you're being cheated ahead of time. Who would play that game of cards? The LPMC, apparently.
I'm still like broiling over this in my head, like, because I knew he had said that, but I didn't realize he had said that while he was still involved in the Libertarian Party. Because I could see that him saying that it's not good for messaging in the context of while he was no longer in it, but he's basically implying that same exact message here while he was still involved in it. So he's actually, from what I'm saying, maybe something he'll say will kind of shift it a little bit. I don't see that so far. But he is basically saying, and he's not even saying like localism, like not even like a Hoppian strategy, anything. He's just straight up saying like political, like acts like utilizing political power, essentially. Not even like messaging. Like he's literally saying like I don't know, fucking the shit that the LPMC guys would laugh at. Like, what do you think? We're gonna fucking like vote a guy up there, and we're gonna like
I know
like
that shit, crazy shit. I know.
Yeah, which is I'm kind of surprised. I bet you most people aren't aware of this aspect of Rothbard. I'm kind of surprised. I'm a little. I mean, to be fair, it was a different time. Maybe, the things were different. Maybe he was seeing. Maybe it was. I don't know.
But Rothbard doesn't think. By the way, he doesn't think that this is true of the Republican Party. These critiques, as far as he's concerned, only apply to third parties.
Mm-hmm. Huh. That is kind of weird. So he doesn't. What do you mean? Elaborate on that, if you will.
So, like I said, in 1972, in that article in the Libertarian Forum, where he says all of this, he says that third parties can't be a vehicle for messaging for all the reasons I just said.
What year did you say? I'm sorry.
This is 1972. So this is like 10, 11 years before this. He wrote this.
What was his current? Because he's all over the place. Do you know where he was at politically at that point? Was he still an LP guy?
Or yeah, he was an LP guy. He was an LP guy at the time. But
because that context matters. He shifted so much.
Yeah, for sure. But what he's saying is like, hey, look, maybe the paleo libertarians, are more adept at dealing with this. Maybe they don't have this problem that we have here about like being written off as kooks and stuff like that, because people actually do respect the Republican Party. They consider it to be like a major political institution in America. Unlike the libertarians or the Greens or the socialists. He says that, like, if the Republican Party pushes a pro-liberty message, hey, maybe we will be taken seriously. So that is sort of one of the things that like, I disagree with here, but it ends up eventually forming, the basis for Rothbard's later views.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I could keep going on about this. I'm just kind of surprised. All right, violent revolution will not work in a democratic political system. Which once again, I feel like that's I guess it is. You could kind of say that an agorist revolution is a violent revolution, but I feel like that's kind of a framing it wrong in a sense. But
I mean, the democratic political system is inherently violent. Yeah. So we know that violent revolutions have occurred in democracies. So I think he's wrong, but I understand what he's saying, that violence isn't the ideal strategy that libertarians should be taking.
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually I would agree with that sentence in a certain sense.
Yeah,
violent revolution will not work in a democratic political system. Now, if you're trying to say that like an agorist revolution, because I would not characterize what Konkin is proposing as a violent revolution.
No,
I guess you could say technically it is, because like the last stage is like, hey, you guys got to stop fucking with us, and we're gonna go release the prisoners and all that shit. Like,
yeah, okay, but that's self-defense. That's not violence.
Exactly. So I don't know. I feel like but it's technically violent. So it's a little bit, technically, but that's not how I would characterize it. So, but yes, I would actually agree with that. I don't agree with like when you say what most people think of when they think of violent revolution. Yes, I agree that it does not work in a Democrat political system. It's always going to take over. That's why I think the Boog Boy stuff is kind of silly. It's funny. I like the aesthetic. There's some cool parts to it, but I do like
they
some
get
of the.
So mad at me.
Yeah.
So mad, those guys.
Yeah, like okay, let's see. You guys will totally, shut off the state and no state.
And remember the one dude tried to do it, and like he just like got shot real quick. Like
Leroy Jenkins.
I don't know, dude.
Leroy Jenkins.
No, this dude put like all his gear on and like went out to do like a mass shooting and just got shot like immediately.
In my head, I just imagine like a group of Boog Boys like planning it out, and he just goes, "Yeah, Leroy Jenkins," charges in.
The other problem with the Boog, by the way, while we're on the topic, is that the FBI and the NSA, this is a dream come true for them.
Oh yeah,
because they're gonna stage so many false flags and be like, hey, look at these Boog Boys. They're the ones doing it. These libertarians, they're crazy. They need to also be on watch lists. We need to call the NSA. They can't have guns. Red flag all of them. That's how this shit happens.
Yeah. All right. Boo, boo, boo. All right. Konkinian agorism is no answer, as I have shown above. I will say though, real quick, and to back up again, but I can completely sympathize in a sense that it's cathartic in a sense, the whole Boog Boy thing, and it's like there's something cool about like, yeah, fuck these guys, let's go just take it back. But it's like, okay,
That's the
like,
appeal.
okay, like, but it's like, let's be a little bit smart here.
Go ahead.
Like,
Yeah. Have a shootout with the National Guard. Let me know how that works out for you. You know what I
and
mean?
yeah,
Like,
I mean, there is something to be said that, yeah, if we could get enough people that are all about anarchy or whatever, and we're like, hey,
God
fuck
bless.
these guys. Yeah,
Rock
sure.
and
But it's
roll.
like, okay, but we're not there. So,
Right. It's not gonna happen.
like, it's kind of in some sense, kind of what agorism's describing, sort of, not quite, but like, okay, well, let's set the groundwork first.
Right.
I mean, even then, he's not necessarily saying a boog at the end, but all right. Education and liberty is, of course, vital, but is not enough. Action must be also taken to roll back the state, specifically to repeal state laws.
How's that working out, Murray?
Yeah. Like price control or the withholding tax, or even like marijuana laws. Despite their widespread non-enforcement, there are always some people who get cracked down on. Yeah, no one's disagreeing there.
This is 40 years ago. This book
Yeah.
was written, and what he's talking about hasn't been done. So that's the sort of progress that the LP is known for. But go ahead. But by the way, when it comes to repealing marijuana laws, we Agorists did actually get it done, right? It happened through massive waves of non-compliance. The LP didn't nominate somebody for office and get them elected to change the law. We did it through disobedience and civil disobedience.
Yeah, it just became an overwhelming thing to the point they're just like, what? Like, what's even what are we doing here? Like, now we just look stupid.
Exactly, that's the whole thing. Eventually, so many people don't comply that they actually lose legitimacy. That it's like, hey, look, we have this law in place, but we're unable to enforce it. We just look like we're just like not even a government at this point. We look like idiots. We just look like a civic organization. That's the danger. That's what they can't have.
Yeah, it's that same energy as like when economic improvement got to the point to where people no longer were really having to have their children work in the mines, and then lo and behold, the government goes, hey, guess what? You guys shouldn't fucking obviously a little bit of an inverse here because they made it illegal, but they're like, you know what? No more fucking child labor. That's just bullshit. And they're like, okay, well, no one's really doing that anymore. So
I know. It's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah, like, oh, we don't really need to do that anymore. Well, thanks, I guess. Sort of. It's a little bit the inverse there, to where it's like, everyone was smoking weed, and there's like, well, look at us. Guess what we're gonna do for you, fucking peons? We're gonna make it legal. Aren't we Aren't we such great benefactors?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Despite their widespread non-enforcement, are there always some people who get cracked down on, especially if the police wish to frame them for other reasons? Tax rebels are admirable, but only in micro terms. The taxes are still there, and the wage earners pay them. Tax rebellion is not a strategy.
Can I just stop you right real quick right there?
Yeah,
because like he 1 page ago he shit on Konkin for talking about wage slavery, or 2 pages ago, wherever it was.
Mm-hmm.
And here he's saying that the wage earners are still going to pay taxes, even if they evade taxes. They're still paying taxes vis-a-vis their waging. I'm sorry,
taxes still there, and the wage earners pay them. Yeah, yeah.
Right. So it's like this guy is he's just double talking himself now.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, the taxes are still there, and the wage earners pay them. Well, we're implying
not if they were Agorist entrepreneurs, they wouldn't be paying those wage taxes.
Yeah, and I get it. Yeah, it's not like everyone can just snap their fingers and no longer be a wage earner.
No,
or like obviously it's like it's a spectrum, which I mean
we should be striving for that, though.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Tax rebellion is not a strategy for victory. Single issue lobbying groups are fine and admirable, but they do not complete the job for 2 basic reasons: because they are single issue, and therefore cannot educate anyone in libertarianism across the board. And because they cannot do the vital job of repealing the status laws. I don't really get what that has to do with anything.
He's right. So here's the thing. So he's right, but again, he's contradicting himself, right? So you can't have a single issue organization that's going to successfully repeal a law. So in other words, like he's saying, like a group like Now isn't going to successfully repeal like cannabis prohibition, for example, right? But like, why, Rothbard? Why? Because it's a fucking political entity. That's why. Like the same critique that you're drawing on these single issue political organizations can be said of the Libertarian Party. It's the same critique holds. So again, it's just like I don't understand how the master logician of all people, Rothbard, doesn't see all of this fallacious reasoning that he's employing here.
Yeah. No, okay. I actually, you know what? He was so off base there that I didn't even get what he was getting at for a second. I was like, what? Like, why are we talking about single issue? Like, it even made no sense. Like, why are you bringing this up? Why?
Like, of course, the NRA isn't going to pass, isn't going to get us like gun rights. You know who will though? 3D printing entrepreneurs. Yeah. That's who will.
Like at that point, he's like either one being dishonest or two just not even get what we're arguing for.
And in fact,
I don't get it.
Look, in fact, single issue lobbying groups. One of them he specifically cites is gold standard groups. Right? They won't be able to do it. He freely admits they won't be able to do it. Well, this is again, we have the benefit of hindsight. This is 30 or 40 years ago now. In that time, Agorist did resolve it, not through single issue voters, but through entrepreneurship. Look at what Satoshi Nakamoto did with Bitcoin. We did fix it. So, you know, the proof is in the pudding, and we see with the benefit of hindsight that Rothbard got all of these things completely and totally wrong.
Yeah, no, I'm still just can't even like wrap my head around why he went to single issue like that. Like, I legit was for a second while you're talking, I was still piecing together why the fuck is he talking about single issue groups? Like, I don't even get it.
Right.
In what context is this relevant?
It makes no sense.
Yeah, but I get it once you pieced it together that it was like, oh, right. Like, but
like, how could he oppose this but not the LP? It doesn't make any sense.
But a group, but a large decentralized group, not even group, just a decentralized entity or a shitload of people fucking, essentially, smoking weed or whatever. For one, they're not a single issue group. They're not just doing one thing. They're also doing a bunch of other actions. But it's like, I don't know, or whatever.
Right, I'm not going right. As if that's their only aspect of their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, okay, yeah, we're the weed smoking agorists, and here's the whatever agorists. Like, okay,
all we do is just smoke weed, right?
Yeah. All right, whatever. All right, they can only urge the repeal of the draft, for example. They cannot. They can't actually do the repealing.
Only the draftee can do that. But again, sorry.
Well, you know what? I can kind of see where he's coming from. If you're only thinking in first order consequences, sure, but here's the thing. Like, we brought up, like, when it comes to a bunch of people like breaking the law or whatever, say with weed's a good example. Like, it was a second order effect. Like, yeah, people could say that it wasn't agoristic for weed to become legal or decriminalized or because the government did it. And you're like, okay, but why did they do it? Like, that's the point. Like what caused them to do that? What got them there? And this is a kind of a point that a lot of people get at. There will be like, we'll kind of get it with agorism. And I try to point out sometimes that, like, by not engaging, it kind of has political effects. So by non-engagement, it causes them to react in certain ways.
Absolutely.
So it's more of a sociological thing. You're like, if I do this, what do they do? And that's kind of what I'm getting at there, where it's like, but yes, if you're only looking at first order effects and you're saying, well, the government did that, so therefore, like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, but why? Do they really do it because this one group was advocating for it? Probably not. Like yes, the LP's been existing for forever and they've been pushing for weed stuff, but was it really the LP that got weed? Like,
no, never.
I'm sure the LP has claimed a lot of those wins. Like, look at us, rah, rah, rah. Like, okay.
But like, also notice how he says here, where the hell am I? Okay, so he's talking about the draft, and he says that they can't. Sorry, I lost my. Okay, so they can only urge the repeal of the draft. They can't actually do the repealing.
Yes, that's what I was getting at. That's what sparked that thought in my head. Is what I just went on.
Right. So
yeah, we don't actually do it, but you create the you create the environment that causes it.
So, like an anti-draft organization, yes, they can't actually repeal the draft law. But guess what? Either can the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party can't repeal the draft. You know who can repeal the draft? The person who's being drafted. Look at Muhammad Ali, right? Look what he did. And he wasn't prosecuted, by the way, right? He ended up being pardoned or something like that. Like, he refused the draft. He didn't go. He just said, I'm not going. And he just didn't go. That was the end of it. And the court was like, yeah, he's not going.
No Vietnamese ever called me a nigger. Isn't that what he said?
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah.
I mean, something like that, yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good point. Like, what the, you don't have any fucking problems with these fucking dudes.
I
like,
know.
Why? Who cares?
It's you know, again, Rothbard, the critique he's drawing against these single issue groups also apply to the Libertarian Party that he's trying to defend, but they don't apply to Agorists. So I just don't see the reasoning here.
The LP can only urge the repeal of the draft, for example. They can't actually do the repealing.
Exactly. And they can't even do the urging because they don't even get a seat at the table. At least like the single issue groups like NOW or the NRA, at least the money that they take in, they can at least buy lobbyists or something like that. And the LP, they're spending money on conventions and shit.
Yeah. And with the seat at the table point you made at, no matter what, the people that are actually being they're trying to control are essentially what like they are above the seat at the table. Like, you are literally the thing they are trying to influence. So it's like, okay,
yes, exactly,
exactly. All right. Of course, if one believes, why should we cut ourselves off from this necessary and vital step of doing the repealing? Because you're cut off whether you want to be or not. But anyways, of course, if one believes with, at least in a third party aspect, but of course, if one believes with Bob LaFair that it is equally immoral to repeal as is imposed the draft, then the repeal of anything is out of the question.
This is, by the way, he's completely strawmanning Bob LaFair's position, but that's a whole other podcast episode.
I mean, we're going to get into LaFair, so maybe that comes up. I don't know, probably not. But I mean, if that is LaFair's position, it's pretty retarded. Like, even if you don't agree with political action, it's like, okay, but we can compare political actions. But anyways, but I will shout hosannas for any repeal of statism and do not concern myself with the coercion of those who'd like to keep the draft and are deprived of it. Before the existence of the LP, the only repealing could be done by Democrats and Republicans. It's still the case, but okay. And so libertarians engaged in this form of political action had to try and find the more libertarian, or rather less anti-libertarian candidate. Contrary to Conklin, there have been political parties in the past, especially 18th and 19th centuries, that, while not anarchists, were admirable forces for laissez-faire. Okay, I mean, maybe.
Okay.
Sure. I mean, but you could make that. I mean,
the Confederates.
That's so fucking vague. I mean, I don't know. Whatever. I mean, you could say the same thing about their fucking conservatives, or whatever. But all right, whatever. They didn't smash the state, not their intention anyway, but they did accomplish an enormous amount for liberty. They ushered in the Industrial Revolution, and we are all in their debt. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that really. I don't know. Maybe he'd have to give specifics of that one, because
I don't know about political parties. Like, I think there were groups of people back in the day who definitely are responsible. No political party ushered in the Industrial Revolution. What is he talking about? He knows that. This is all done through like science and scientific and technological improvements.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to say. They ushered in that. Okay, whatever.
No political party created the steam engine. I mean, what is he talking about here?
I don't
or
get
the printing press, you know what I mean?
I mean, if he's saying because they were laissez-faire, but why were they laissez-faire? I don't know. I think it was just because technological innovation got so far ahead of the fucking institution of predation that they couldn't keep up, and that's what the fucking 20th century kind of became, is the predation trying to desperately trying to grasp to keep up with the fucking like the 19th century, like the boom that they had. And that's why fucking the 20th century was so many fucking people died and how fucking awful it essentially was, because yes, essentially it was what followed the Industrial Revolution. But anyways, I think of the Democratic Party in the U.S., the liberal. Okay, the liberals in England, the progressives in Germany, etc. Historically, classical liberal political parties have accomplished far more for human liberty than any black markets. All right, that first one makes me laugh. Obviously, I don't. To be fair to him, and I guess it's to be fair, but also kind of not to be fair because it kind of goes back and forth, and that's kind of the point. The first Democratic Party one made me giggle because it's I mean, obviously in a modern context, that's fucking
Oh my
retarded.
God.
I don't know what he's saying now, but you know what? Once again, to be fair to Rothbard, 10 years from now, it may be the complete opposite case. We may be like, you know what? Look how dope these Democrats are, and how dope these Republicans are, because that's just how this shit works. Like the pendulum swings back and forth, but that's that kind of goes against him a little bit. So
the second part is also batshit crazy in my opinion, because it's like, sure, yeah, I don't disagree that there were some classical liberal groups from like antiquity and like the Renaissance period and stuff that sort of did decent things that put us off in the right direction, but tell the person who just got smuggled out of North Korea that the black markets, that they're better off joining the classical liberal party. Tell the person who is dying from because they can't get the right medicine. That's like it's because the FDA won't approve it, so they have to get it from the black market. Tell them that they were better off voting for the classical liberal candidate for Congress than they are engaging the black market. It makes no sense what Rothbard is talking about here.
But empirically, of course, neither major party at this point is worth a damn. And so a Libertarian Party provides a welcome alternative of actually permitting us to engage in libertarian political action. I didn't even think of, I do want to say this because I feel like I've been harsh on Rothbard, but I also need to point out that this was probably in line. I don't remember when the Libertarian Party came about, but I know Rothbard was essentially one of the creators of it. And so this was very early in the creation of the Libertarian Party to some extent. It was at least within 20 years of it.
So,
do you remember when it was created?
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story. You know who created the Libertarian Party? Sam Konkin. He started the Libertarian Party. This is all true. You can look it up. He founded it as a joke. Its entire history started as a joke in California. They thought it would be funny if they put like a Libertarian Party, like it's a contradiction in terms. It was such a joke at the time that they thought it would be funny to just put one on the ballot as like a funny thing. It would be like entering like a cat into a dog show or something like that. It was like the same sort of humor. And it started in California as a joke by Sam Konkin and the Agorists, and it actually spread, and like it became like a real fucking thing. And it's like, we created this monster, and like people don't understand this history that it actually started as a fucking joke, and now they dedicate their entire lives to it. Like, what's going on here?
But it was, what was it, like the 70s, I think, when or maybe it was a little bit before that.
Yeah, it was like 72, I want to say.
Okay. All right, because that's the kind of point I'm getting at.
71, 72.
I want to say NLM was written in like the 90s. Maybe I'm wrong. So
New
it was
Libertarian Manifesto? No, this was like
late 80s. Late 80s?
This might have been early 80s.
Early 80s? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, either way, Libertarian Party hadn't existed for very long at this point. So we can kind of give Rothbard a little bit of leeway with being so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed about it. Because like we laugh now, like it's so fucking retarded, some of the shit he's saying. It's like, okay, well, it was pretty much in its infancy. So, okay, like, obviously he had high hopes for it. Didn't work out. ANCAP's talking with the Libertarian Party sound like me talking about the state before I found Rothbard. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like the same sort of lip service that I would pay. Like, I was a raging neoconservative lunatic. And, like, the same lip service I would pay to those like beliefs is the same lip service that the ANCAPs pay to the party arcs. Yeah. All right, let's get moving. We want to try to finish this in a reasonable time. All right, a Libertarian Party presents many difficulties. For one thing, there is the constant temptation to substitute numbers of votes for profits as a test of success. And this means a dilution of principle to appeal to the lowest common denominator of voters. Yeah. This temptation has been yielded to with great enthusiasm by the Clark campaign. But the price of liberty is internal vigilance, never more so than in a libertarian political party. The LP needs continual self-criticism and, yes, Konkinian criticism as well. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. Never more so than a... Okay, all right. I don't want to go to a tangent on that one because I had a thought there, but we go another tangent. Fortunately, it was an admirable platform. Now a struggle must get underway to get the party's candidates to stick to that platform.
Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. The struggle against opportunism is not going to be easy. It may not even be successful, but the LP is a valuable enough institution that the battle is worth it, which is why we need the radical caucus.
Mises Caucus.
Oh my God!
It just changes.
The
you
radical
just
caucus.
The fucking names, though.
Oh my God! The radical caucus. Oh my God! I didn't realize
the radical caucus was the Mises Caucus back in the day.
Oh my God! I didn't realize that. I don't know this history,
dude. It's just repeating itself. It just repeats itself.
Holy shit, that's rich. That explains so fucking much.
The radical caucus was the first Mises. They were the Mises Caucus of the 80s. You know what I mean? God!
And they just became this weird, like fucking. I don't know. I mean. It just became this weird hodgepodge, gelatinous mass of people who are radical or whatever the fuck they interpret that as. But okay, and now it's gonna probably 10 years from now be this weird hodgepodge of whatever the fuck people think a Mises thing is, like, and not really be this concise movement like they kind of sort of are now.
Friggin' names, man. the actors stay the same. The names change.
Yeah. Okay. And why? All right, that's interesting. I may have to look into that one more because I did not know that's what created the radical caucus. All right, and why it needs libertarians who are educated in libertarian principles and are concerned to maintain them. One problem with this particular LP is that in a deep sense it was founded prematurely, before there were enough activists around it to make it work and to educate newcomers. The LP grew like Topsy as a result, as very oddly for an ideological party. There are literally no institutions within the party, except for the radical caucus, engage in education or discussion of principles or political issues. The LP is one of the strangest ideological parties in history. It's an ideological party where most of its members display no interest whatever in either ideology or politics. Marxist groups generally don't found parties for a long time. First, they build pre-party formations, which gather the strength and the knowledge to launch a regular party. We had no such formation and are suffering the consequences. But here the party is, and we have to make do with what we have. So the Libertarian Party is vital, if not necessary, to repealing statism. And contrary to Konkin's, even now, even if you do buy into this shit, that sentence is silly. Like, I feel like even if I was talking to my even if I was to talk to a lot of my LPMC friends, I feel like a lot of them would be like, vital, I don't know, that's a bit strong.
Well, again, like, you know, he's talking in the 80s. But like we have the benefit of hindsight. So we have 40 years of history to look back on. They've done nothing to repeal statism. Zero. We were more statist than ever. So what is he talking about? It just hasn't worked out that way.
And contrary to Konkin's suggested timetable of a millennium, a militant and abolitionist LP in control of Congress would wipe out all the laws overnight, and they would all get fucking shot.
No, that isn't a utopian fucking dream. I've never heard of one. As if the LP is going to take over Congress. Like, what was Rothbard smoking?
That's ridiculous. Really, you can't think of anything that would. I mean, once again, hindsight. One of the great things about the Trump phenomenon is it really did kind of put shit like this to bed. Because you're like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But not for nothing. Like, basic common sense should have put this to bed before Rothbard even wrote this down.
Yeah, you say that, but then there's something about actually seeing it where you're like, okay, right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was a little silly.
You know, if the party's only 10 or 12 years old, you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe it can work. Maybe you know, we're still young, you know.
Yeah.
But now it's like, obviously, hello.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people get crazy a lot of people get upset with me when I tell them I did not want I would not have wanted Ron Paul to get elected. I didn't. If he got elected, he probably would have fucking shot. And they probably would have found a way to spin it to fucking further their agenda. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it would be like, oh my God, look how awful this is. Oh, fuck. And they'd make this whole big statism parade. Like, oh my God. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd find a way to make it fucking go the other way. Like, there's no way he would roll up in there. He'd fucking like repeal everything. He'd do all this shit. Like,
they got tired of shooting them though. Like after Kennedy, the strategy has been not to shoot the presidents. Now they just rig the election so that those guys don't even get in there.
Yeah. Where am I? Fucking, I lost my place.
It's Cock Paloo. Paloo's thing that was pronounced Coke. Thank you very much. It's actually the Koch brothers. It's Charlie Koch and David Koch from now on.
I like Koch better. If someone,
yeah.
Okay, yeah. I reread that sentence, made me giggle again. All that would be needed is the will. No other strategy for liberty can work.
I know. It's hard to even keep a straight face. That's how bad this is.
Oh my God.
It's like watching a Libs of TikTok video.
Yeah, kind of is. Like this is like, I don't. Maybe people get mad, but this is some Lolbert shit. Like,
This is bad.
A lot of people like to make fun of Lolberts or whatever the fuck. I think that the Lolbert like thing, making fun of them, is kind of cringe, honestly, because it's like just even bringing up Lolberts. It's because it's kind of just becomes this like insult for anybody that you don't like. But this kind of like, this is like, usually it's used to describe naive libertarians that have like weird stances or like don't really have nuance in their thinking. This is one
of those weird fucking stances though. like what's wrong with you? Like, come on, this is crazy.
All right. And yet all this pales before the most important problem. Is a Libertarian Party evil per se? Is voting evil per se? My answer is no. The state is a Moloch that surrounds us. I do like that. That's a cool fucking phrase. And it would be grotesque and literally impossible to function if we refused it. Our sanction across the board. Stays a Moloch that surrounds us. I really like that fucking phrase. It's dope. It's like super metal thing for fucking Rothbard to say. All right, I don't think I'm committing aggression when I walk on a government-owned and government-subsidized street, drive in a government-owned and subsidized highway, or fly in a government-regulated airline. It would be participating in aggression if I lobbied for these institutions to continue. I didn't ask for these institutions, damn it, and so don't consider myself responsible if I'm forced to use them.
This is a straw man. When nobody's ever, we never made this argument, but go ahead.
Yeah. In the same way, if the state, for reasons of its own, allows us a periodic choice between two or more masters, I don't believe we are aggressors if we participate in order to vote ourselves more kindly masters or to vote in people who will abolish or repeal the oppression. I know me and you disagree there. I kind of agree with that, like, to some extent. I mean, I just more or less take the approach that I don't think is going to work out for you like you think it will. Like,
right.
Cool. Like, yeah, you get to vote for your masters, but it's like, at the end of the day, like, all right, well, the masters are the ones controlling the charade, so how do you think this is going to work out? Like,
do you think that voting for, you can pick a new zoo master, you're still not going to get back to the jungle. You're still going to wind up in a cage.
Yeah. Like, okay, cool. You're picking your masters in this in this system that your masters created. Like, I mean,
you're free to pick your slave master. It's like, okay, huh?
Okay, and who created this process?
Right? Yeah, the slave master. Wait a minute.
Yeah, like, you think they had maybe a reason to create this process? Like, okay, all right, but in the same way, the state, for reasons of its own law. Okay. In fact, I think that we owe it to our own liberty to use such opportunities to advance the cause. Let's put it this way. Suppose we were slaves in the Old South, and for some reason, each plantation had a system where the slaves were allowed to choose every 4 years between two alternative masters. You know, I just pointed that out. Okay, right. But who put that in place? Like, okay, maybe there's a little bit more to this than meets the eye.
It's like the guy's still a slave, regardless of the benevolence of the slave master.
Well, even that aside, my point, and I guess this is the differentiation between me and you. I usually make the more pragmatic argument. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, let's accept this reality of there's a system in which they allow you to pick it. Who created that system?
Right. Yeah.
Who is this made to benefit? Do you think they did this just to benefit you?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And if it somehow does start to benefit you to the point to where it starts to detract from them, what do you think they'll do about it? Like, how is this going to work?
That's not going to work out in your favor.
All right. Would it be evil in sanctioning slavery to participate in such a choice? Suppose one master was a monster who systematically tortured all the slaves, while the other one was kindly, enforced almost no work rules, freed one slave a year, or whatever. It would seem to me not only not aggression to vote for the kindly master, but idiotic if we failed to do so. Of course, there might well be circumstances, say when both masters are similar, where the slaves would be better off not voting in order to make a visible protest. But this is a tactical, not a moral consideration. Voting would not be evil, but in such a case, less effective than the protests. But if we morally licit and non-aggressive for slaves to vote for a choice of masters in the same way is licit for us to vote for what we believe the lesser of two or more evils, and still more beneficial to vote for avowedly libertarian candidates.
So
go ahead.
Just let me stop you real quick. So you got to read again, it's in Anti-Politics. It's a selection I included in Anti-Politics from Frank Chodorov called My Charming Annoyer. And it's about it's the best selection on the revolutionary power of non-voting that you're ever going to find. Again, it's in Anti-Politics. Check it out, or you can just look it up. It's in one of Chodorov's books. It's like chapter 4 in Analytics, I think.
Yeah. It says at the bottom here, by the way, the date, November 10th, 1980. So that answers a lot. It was less than 10 years. So I feel like we were actually being a little bit harsh on Rothbard, clowning on him a little bit.
I mean, still, you've had 10 years,
less than a decade.
True. That's a fair point. But you still had 10 years. Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree. We were clowning.
And in those 10 years, they went off the gold standard. They had Vietnam. It's like you guys did nothing here. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair to him, I could totally understand if you actually believe this, it would take a while for the consequences to set in and be like, oh, this isn't working out. Because you could totally justify an entity less than 10 years old. Dude, we're still building power. It's a building year.
Yeah. It's a more convincing argument at that time.
Yeah. All right. And so there we have it. Konkinian strategy winds up being no strategy at all. Konkin cripples libertarian effectiveness by creating moral problems where none exist, by indicting as non-libertarian or non-market a whole slew of institutions necessary to the triumph of liberty, organization, hierarchy, wage work, granting of funds by libertarian millionaires in a libertarian political party. Konkin is what used to be called a wrecker. Let some institution or organization seem to be doing good work for liberty somewhere, and Sam Konkin is sure to be in there with a moral attack. I disagree with damn near everything he just said there.
Yeah. And I hope we'll see what Konkin's response is, but I hope that it was the case that the Koch brothers had incorporated their business, so at that point you're actually taking money from a corporation. You're taking money from taxpayers at that point. So we'll find out more when we get that to the reply.
Yeah. All right. And yet Konkin's writings are to be welcomed because we need a lot more polycentrism in the movement, because he shakes up party arcs who tend to fall into unthinking complacency, and especially because he cares deeply about liberty and can read and write, qualities which seem to be going out of style in the libertarian movement. At least we can count on Sam Konkin not to join the mindless cretins in a Clark TV commercial singing about a new beginning America, and that's worth a lot. And that's the end. We'll go on to the Konkin reply in the next episode we do, and Oh my God, I'm actually legit glad to be done with that, because that like hurt my heart a lot.
I know. It's rough. It's rough. Like I don't know what the hell Rothbard was thinking.
I mean, once again, it explains a lot. The 1980, the LP was less than a decade old. Okay, all right, I can wrap my head around it. It's still pretty fucking retarded.
I know. That's the thing.
I mean, there were some critiques that you're like, okay, I wouldn't say they're retarded. I disagree with them. I think he's missing the point. But there were some, especially towards the end about the LP, we were like, oh my fuck.
It's like they're the only way to defeat. Like what are you talking about, man?
Like even like if I didn't give someone the name, like especially that last bit, if I did not put an author that last bit just about the Libertarian Party, and I gave that essay to like an LPMC friend, they'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? Like,
So
yeah.
yeah, I know. You can take that and be like, "Oh, this is the fake Libertarians people." And be like, "Oh yeah, this sounds like something they would write."
Yeah. There you go. Oh my God.
Ugh.
I can't keep shitting on Rothbard. All right, you want to go ahead and drop your plugs because I can't keep.
Agorathreads.com for Libertarian and Anarchist apparel, 3D printer go Burr for 3D printers, 3D printing supplies. You pay with crypto, so you don't have to access a KYC payment platform. And the book is Anti-Politics. Check it out on Amazon. If you prefer to pay with crypto, shoot me a DM on social media, and we'll figure it out.
All right, cool. That this is No Way Jose show. You can find me on YouTube, all the major audio packages, Odyssey. Follow me on Twitter at 2020 No Way Jose. Give me money. Patreon.com, just No Way Jose 2020. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And with that, we are out. Appreciate it. Once again, this is another fun one.
Yeah.